My name is Rachel Donovan. I'm 31 years old and I'm a nurse practitioner in cardiac care. On November 15th, my 78-year-old grandfather survived emergency triple bypass surgery. 16 hours later, he was still sedated in the ICU when my mother looked at him and said, "He's not worth canceling the trip. Ethan earned this vacation." My brother Ethan, golden child, pharmaceutical sales rep, President's Club winner, just nodded. Then he looked at me and said, "You work here anyway. You've got this." They didn't ask me to stay, they informed me. Then the three of them flew to Hawaii while I sat beside my grandfather's ICU bed, listening to the ventilator hiss and watching blood seep slowly into fresh gauze. What they didn't know was that 8 months earlier, my grandfather had made me his healthcare power of attorney. They didn't know he'd hired a private investigator, and they had no idea what the attorney who walked into room 4218 7 days later was about to place in my hands. What happened next didn't just destroy my family. It exposed who they'd been all along. The first night alone was the longest. Room 4218, ICU, 4th floor, Providence Heart and Vascular Institute. The overhead lights dimmed at 9 p.m., but the monitors never stopped beeping. Every 2 hours, a nurse came in to check vitals, adjust the IV drip, reposition the chest tube drainage bag. Every 2 hours, I jolted awake from the visitor chair that folded out into what the hospital generously called a bed. I kept replaying it. "He's not worth canceling the trip." My mother, Diane, had said those exact words that morning, standing at the foot of his bed, looking directly at his face like he was a piece of furniture blocking a doorway. The thing about conscious sedation, and I knew this because I'd been working in cardiac care for 7 years, is that it isn't the same as being unconscious. Patients on propofol at the dosage my grandfather was receiving can't move, can't speak. Their eyes stay closed, but their brain activity continues. Sometimes they can hear everything. Sometimes they remember it later. I wondered if he'd heard her. At 11:30 that night, I checked my phone. Notification, Ethan's Instagram story. Sunset photo from Waikiki Beach. Golden hour lighting. A Mai Tai with a paper umbrella on a wooden railing. Ethan's face in the corner of the frame, sunburned and grinning. The caption read, "Earned this. Number President's Club, number Aloha Vibes, posted 6 hours ago." While I was sitting here watching my grandfather's oxygen saturation hover at 93%. At 2052 a.m., my phone buzzed. Text from Diane. "How is he? Enjoy your time together. We'll be back Tuesday. Ethan needed this break. Love you, hum." I stared at that heart emoji for a long time. Then typed back, "He's stable." Didn't say he'd had a fever spike at midnight. Didn't say his blood pressure dropped and the nurses had to push fluids. Just, "He's stable." Susan, the ICU charge nurse, poked her head in around 2:30 a.m., carrying a heated blanket from the warmer. She'd known me since my clinical rotations years ago. "Your family really left?" she whispered. I nodded. She didn't offer platitudes, just set the warm blanket on the arm of my chair and gave my shoulder a gentle squeeze. Small kindnesses. That's what gets you through nights like that. My grandfather, Walter, woke up on day 2. His first word after extubation was water. I held ice chips to his lips. After a few minutes, he looked around the room slowly, taking inventory, and then his eyes landed on mine. "Where are they?" I paused just a second. "Hawaii." He closed his eyes and nodded once. Not surprised, not hurt, just resigned, like he'd expected exactly this. "You stayed," he said quietly. Of course I stayed. He opened his eyes and looked directly at me. "You're the one who stays. You always were." I didn't fully understand what he meant. Not yet. That afternoon, he held my hand and said, "Anna, Rachel, there's something you need to know. Not yet, not today, but someone is coming. Someone I trust. And when they arrive, listen to them. They'll have everything." Before I could ask more, he was asleep. The infection hit on day 4. 3,007 a.m., his heart rate jumped to 108, oxygen saturation dropping, 91, 90, 89. I was already at his bedside when the night nurse rushed in. His forehead was covered in sweat, his skin flushed with fever. The surgical incision was red, angry, warm to the touch, draining thick, cloudy fluid with that faint, sweet foul odor every nurse learns to recognize. Infection. Within hours, labs confirmed it. Lactate elevated, white cells through the roof. Dr. Cole arrived at 5:30 a.m. and made the call immediately. Back to ICU, broad-spectrum IV antibiotics. At 6:33 a.m., I called my parents. Voicemail. Called again at 6,018. Voicemail. Texted, Grandpa has sepsis. Surgical site infection. Call me ASAP. Read at 6:45 a.m. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. At 8:47 a.m., Ethan finally called. Anna, it's 5 in the morning here. What? Grandpa has sepsis, I said. Surgical site infection. Elevated lactate. He's back in ICU on IV antibiotics. A pause. Ocean waves in the background. Then Ethan's voice shifted. Clinical. Flat. The pharmaceutical sales rep voice. Okay, but what do you want us to do? Fly back for an infection? Sepsis at his age can be a natural endpoint. Have they talked about comfort-focused care? I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. He's 78, not 98, I said, my voice shaking. No one has discussed comfort care because he's receiving treatment. He's fighting. You're too emotionally involved, Ethan said, calm and condescending. Let the doctors make the clinical decisions. We'll see you Tuesday. He hung up. 30 minutes later, the texts arrived. My father, Glenn, Ethan explained the situation. Comfort-focused care may be the kindest approach. Trust Ethan's medical knowledge. My mother, don't push for treatments that only prolong suffering. Ethan again. Sometimes letting nature take its course is the most loving option. Don't let your emotions cloud your judgment. I looked through the ICU window. Walter's vancomycin dripping into his lime. Oxygen saturation climbing back up. Fighting. They were hoping he wouldn't make it. Shh. That same morning, Dr. Cole told me my father had called requesting a DNR. A faxed advance directive from 2018 arrived shortly after. Walter's signature, notarized, requesting limited intervention in the event of serious complications. Something felt wrong, not the document itself. The timing? I went to patient relations and asked for a full chart review. The specialist, Karen, searched the records and found a notation from March 18, 2025. Patient called regarding healthcare proxy update. New POA documents signed and executed. The physical documents had never been scanned in. But there was a law firm listed, Hargrove and Ellis Legal Group. Karen sent an urgent email. The response came the next morning. Attorney James Mercer would personally deliver notarized copies of all relevant documents the following day, and additional materials Walter had specifically requested be given to me. November 22nd, 2:15 p.m. James Mercer walked through the door. Gray suit, wire-rimmed glasses, black leather briefcase with a combination lock. He set the briefcase on the rolling bedside table. Walter's eyes opened. James, thank you for coming. Of course, George. James looked at me. Show her everything. From the briefcase, James removed 3 items. A thick, bound document with a notary seal. A small USB drive labeled, "For Rachel, emergency only." A sealed envelope in Walter's handwriting, "For Rachel." The document was a durable power of attorney for healthcare decisions, executed March 18, 2025, naming me, Rachel Marie Donovan, as his primary healthcare agent. It explicitly revoked all prior directives, including the 2018 document my family had submitted. I had full legal authority over my grandfather's medical care. Every code status change my family had requested, void. The envelope contained a single sheet of lined notebook paper. Rachel, if you're reading this, it means they tried. You're the only one I trust. James has everything you need. I'm sorry you have to carry this, but I know you can. You're my steady girl, Grandpa Walter. The USB drive held a recorded attorney consultation from August 2025, 42 minutes of my grandfather's voice, recorded when he was still strong and clear-headed, explaining everything. That night in my hotel room, I put on my headphones and listened. Walter had overheard my aunt whispering at his hospital bedside during a prior scare. If it's serious, at least it would be quick. That same week, he discovered 3 unauthorized wire transfers from his Fidelity account totaling $68,000, all routed to Ethan's trading account, authorized using a forged financial power of attorney. He'd hired a private investigator. The investigator recorded Ethan and Diane at lunch. Ethan's words, verbatim, "The old man is sitting on almost $400,000. If he passes before he needs long-term care, we'd inherit it all, clean and simple." And then, the part that destroyed me. Walter's voice, low and steady. I was sedated after surgery. I couldn't move, couldn't speak, but I could hear. I heard Diane say he's not worth canceling the trip. I heard Ethan agree. I heard them leave, and I knew I'd been right about everything. I listened to the recording twice. Then I sat in the dark and cried. When they landed Tuesday, tanned and relaxed, shopping bags in hand, I led them to the family conference room. I slid the healthcare POA across the table. As of November 22nd, I am Walter's healthcare power of attorney. Since March, he didn't trust you. Ethan scoffed. That's ridiculous. I slid the forensic report across. The accountant had found a 4th transfer, $125,000 wired from Walter's account to Ethan's at 11:47 p.m. on November 16th, using a forged signature while my grandfather was unconscious and intubated. Ethan had done it from the airport, 20 minutes before their flight boarded. Total unauthorized transfers over 12 months, $193,000. James Mercer walked in behind me. I filed reports with Adult Protective Services and referred the matter to the district attorney. Elder financial exploitation is a felony in Oregon. The door opened again. A nurse wheeled Walter into the room. He looked at them. They looked at him. Nobody spoke. In December, the DA filed 3 felony charges against Ethan: elder abuse, forgery, and wire fraud. His employer suspended him. President's Club status revoked. My father emailed me, "You're tearing this family apart." I showed it to Walter. He said, "Your mother would be proud of you." I deleted it. Walter was discharged December 10th. I set up my guest room with a hospital bed and oxygen concentrator. We have a routine now. Coffee in the morning, crosswords in the afternoon, physical therapy twice a week. Slow walks when his strength allows. This morning, the first snow started falling. "You okay?" he asked. I looked out the window. "Yeah, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." He smiled. The same smile from when he taught me to drive. From 6 years of Sunday phone calls. The criminal trial is scheduled for spring. I don't know how much longer we have together. But every morning I hear him in the kitchen, and every time he calls me his steady girl. Those are gifts. Gifts they tried to take. The person who stays isn't the loudest or the richest or the favorite. It's the one who shows up when it matters most. And that's the only family that counts.